Alright, here we're going to talk about frequency distributions and histogram. This corresponds to textbook section 1.3 and 2.2. 1.3 and 2.2. Why is it green? And 2.2. So far we talked about the difference between population and a sample, how do you collect a sample, if you want to do experiment, different components of an experiment. So today we'll talk about once you gather a sample and then have a data, like our first thing we're going to do is to organize in a certain way so it's presentable. So today we'll talk about different ways to organize the data that we collect. So suppose you have a collection of data, you can use a frequency table to organize the data in the meaningful way. Because many times when you collect data, it's going to just bunch of numbers or bunch of just elements. So we want to organize in a certain way, so it's nice to look at or something more meaningful. So I think it's better that we look at the example first. So let's kind of go fast forward to number 6. So this one has number of direct hits of Hurricane USA from 1851 to 2014. So I'm looking at a category. So there are different categories of hurricanes and how many times they got hit between these 2 years. So you can see how like category 1 hurricane, there are a lot of them. So the number of hits is 109. Then if you look at category 5, is only 3. This is year 2020, so it's probably a lot more now, but at least by 2004 is that. So this is just kind of nice way of kind of gathering data, and then they categorize it into different category 1 through 5, and then look at how many times we have category 1 hurricane, so on and so forth. To, if you can see the last second to the last line, we can see there are 3 hurricane 5 categories that happen between those 2 years. So here, if I were to use statistical language, the number of hits, direct hits, I can refer that as a frequency. Frequency, it just means how many times that has happened. So let's go back to our definition here, terminology. So frequency just means number of occurrences. Like how many times does something happen? That's just a frequency. Or how many times did it happen? How many times did something happen? Okay. Relative frequency is just the frequency divided by the total number. Oops, wrong color. Total number, and many times you're going to refer that as letter N. It basically calculates the percentage. It calculates the percentage. Okay. We can extend the frequency, relative frequency idea a little bit more. We're going to talk about cumulative relative frequency. I'm going to highlight cumulative. It just means that we're taking a subtotal. So the way we calculate the cumulative relative frequency is by adding the frequencies of all the previous categories. Many times you're going to see the frequency table in graphical representation. And depends on the type of data set, we're going to call that either a bar graph. Bar graph is for categorical data, or histogram. And histogram is for continuous data set. Now I'm going to have you pause and work on number 6. I just want to go over a few phrases. Number 6. If you look at number 6, part C, it says it has the phrase at most, and the next one is at least, right? Just to remind you that at most means up to something, right? So at most, a category 3 means up to category 3. That means it could be category 1 or category 2 or category 3, up to 3, but not category 4. And when it says at least, again, it means at least means, you have to be at least 21 to be able to buy alcohol, so 21 or higher. So at least category 2 means 2 or higher category, right? So I'm gonna have you work on number 6, and I think we can work on number 7 as well. For number 8, it's given, you can see there's a graph right there. So just give you a little hint. Here I'm looking at this graph here. I'm looking at the first bar. See how it says number of followers and there's a frequency. So this must be representing frequencies. This must represent how many followers they have. And I noticed the first bar is just a little over 5, so it's 6. That means there's 6 is the frequency. That means there are 6 people who answered that they have number of followers between 0 and 99. If I look at the next bar, it says 100 to 199, and it says 10 is the frequency. That means 10 people have answered that they have this many number of followers, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to have you finish number 6, 7, and 8. That concludes this worksheet.